Hello, and welcome to this session of Your County Government. My name is Greg Moore, and I serve as chair of the Eau Claire County Board of Supervisors and host of this series. So once again, welcome. Today we're talking about circuit courts and our Criminal Justice Collaborating Council here in Eau Claire County. And with me today we have Susan Schaffer. Susan is the clerk of the circuit court here in Eau Claire. Gary King, district attorney, and Tianna, Glenna, coordinator for the Criminal Justice Collaborating Council. So welcome everyone. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Susan, why don't we start with you? Well, I'll give a brief overview. Every county has three branches of government, including the executive, legislative, and the judicial branch. And it's the judicial branch we're here to talk about today. The judges are the decision makers, of course, oversee the judicial branch, but providing that administrative support is the clerk of court office. So Susan, why don't you tell us about the responsibilities of your office and the different services you provide to the public?
Thank you. We are a statutorily mandated courtroom, well, not courtroom, but office. We are the record keepers. The statutes provide what duties and responsibilities and authority that we have. We're the record keepers. We collect all the fines, fees, and forfeitures that are mandated out of the court, and we also provide jury management.
And speaking of jury management, that's probably the one reason many people come to the courthouse. If they don't have a traffic case or some other reason to be in court, they might come for jury duty. Why don't you tell us about jury duty and how they might, citizens might be notified that they're have that opportunity?
Yes, what we do in our office, and each county does jury service a little bit different. We have a 2-week period that jurors are required to serve if they're summoned. You can only be summoned once in 4 years. We actually send out the questionnaires, the qualification questionnaires, at the same time as a pre-summons. And what the pre-summons does is gives you a 1-month, that you may be summoned, and to notify us if there's any conflicts where you couldn't serve in that time frame. If there are no conflicts, you're put into the pool, and when we are in need of jurors for a 2-week period, we go into that and we send out the summons.
Great, great. Now the courts are involved not only with family cases and civil cases and probate cases and so on, but also criminal cases, and we have the district attorney, Gary King, here. So Gary, why don't you talk about the role of the district attorney's office and how you make charging decisions and some of the innovations that have been taking place in recent years in the DA's office?
Sure. Our office is responsible for enforcing the laws of the state of Wisconsin, as well as any local county ordinances, traffic matters, things of that nature. We prosecute approximately 3,400 criminal cases a year with the 8 prosecutors in our office, and so we have at any given time approximately 2,500 open criminal cases on a daily basis. Obviously, when people are arrested and referred for criminal charges, if they are in custody, they have to get in front of a judge within a certain period of time. So every day we monitor and review our jail list to make sure that people are appearing in a timely manner. And then on a day-to-day basis, we assist our 10 law enforcement agencies in the county, whether it's cases that are referred from them, training, search warrants, subpoenas, all the things that go into enforcing the laws of our state. We also are very fortunate in this county to be on the forefront of some very exciting practices to help manage the caseload that we have, whether it's through our diversion program or any of the other work that we assist and work together with our partners in our local CJCC and evidence-based decision-making teams.
Great. Well, that's maybe a good segue over to Tianna. Speaking of CJCC, EBDM, these acronyms that many citizens have heard about. So once again, CJCC is the Criminal Justice Collaborating Council. Maybe if you can talk about the makeup of that, and then EBDM, evidence-based decision-making, and what that's all about.
Okay. Well, the Criminal Justice Collaborating Council was established in 2006 by County Board resolution. I was hired in 2008, and the council is made up of all department heads, elected officials that come together within the justice system and some of our partners from the community. And we all work together to look at our justice system from the decision to arrest to disposition. As are we effective and efficient, and are we serving our not only our community, but our staff needs, and using our monies efficiently and effectively. And so we have been working through the CJCC in this new initiative. It's called the Evidence-Based Decision-Making Initiative, and it's sponsored by the National Institute of Corrections. We were selected in 2009 to be one of 6 states in the state of 6 states throughout the nation to work through this framework, this idea of using evidence-based decisions, research, and data to improve system outcomes. And we have been moving forward with this process. Currently, it is not a process that's going away. It is the foundation of how we work in our system. And what District Attorney King mentioned is we have looked at our system through the CJCC and the EBDM lens and said, what can we do better? And we have made numerous changes within the system that are more efficient, more effective, and we're showing some proven outcomes so far.
Great. And a lot of that, as I understand, deals with doing risk assessments, risk to reoffend, and needs assessments. What are an individual's needs, a criminal defendant's needs, that, if addressed, may reduce the likelihood of them coming back into the court system or into the criminal justice system?
Correct. To start this process, we did a systems map. So we brought all the key stakeholders together and said, what happens when officers come into contact with a person on the street? What are the protocols? What are the steps? What are we missing? What data is collected that we know that we're doing the right thing for the right person at the right time? One tool that we deployed is a proxy tool. It's a Hawaiian proxy. It's just looking at a basic triage risk level of that person. From that tool, the district attorney's office is able to divert those people from the criminal justice system. We're talking about those low-risk first-time offenders, where they do not have to touch the criminal justice system. We're saying, hey, we know that you're going to self-correct. That's what the research tells us. And through that program, we've been able to divert over 1,000 people, and we have a 13% recidivism rate for that population based on our study, which is really good. And what this does, as it relates to the clerk of courts, is it keeps those people off of CCAP. Their records are not, they don't have a criminal charge. And so that reduces that likelihood of their future crimes. And through that, and I could probably turn that over to Gary, the outcomes of what we're seeing by being able to divert up to 250 to 300 people per year has had an impact on our processing our entire system, not just at the law enforcement level, but at the district attorney's office, the clerk of courts, and the judges. The other tool, I'm going to make one comment. We talked about the risk needs tool. So the proxy is just a triage tool, just to determine the risk. But we use through the DA's office and through the CJCC a risk-based tool that called the Compass, and it identifies the needs for these people coming through the system. So we're not just looking at the offense that they committed, but why did they do it? And so the system can better address those needs and provide programming services that will help that individual in the future.
And that really informs charging decisions, plea negotiations, sentencing by the judge, and eventually probation, possibly, with what they do.
And the key word there is informed. The more information we can gather about a specific case, a specific individual, the better decisions we can make using the traditional tools of training and experience and what the various laws that we're dealing with. Tianna mentioned the diversion program. It's a very targeted program, deals with a very small amount of the individuals that we see on a yearly basis, but it's very important because the research tells us how to best handle those given individuals, and when we do that, it allows a bit more time for us as a criminal justice system to focus on those that are of higher risk in the community, and there's certainly a trickle down from starting that analysis from the very point of contact with individuals in law enforcement. Those in the county are very aware that we went through a very long study and very long process here to build the jail in recent years. And with a growth trend of 6 to 7% that we had going on, we needed to take a very serious look at how we handle the entire offender population to make sure that we are holding the right people in custody, and to make sure that at the same time we're not just opening up the doors and letting out individuals who present a risk to our community and to our values. And so that really is the lockstep of the risk assessment tools and all of the research and all of the philosophy that we've learned through our association with the National Institute of Corrections. And as Tianna mentioned earlier, we have seen tangible results from the implementation of those philosophies. And it's not a surprise, because we know, based on the decades of research that have been done, if situations are handled appropriately and if individuals are appropriately assessed and risk assessment tools are used on a continuous basis, that you're going to see those outcomes, and that's exactly what we've seen.
The part of this requires a lot of cooperation, and I know you alluded to it, but my impression is nobody's giving up their discretion, law enforcement or judges or DA, but as you said, this is informing the decision, so hopefully better decisions, better outcomes. But a lot of good cooperation. So I don't want to put words in your mouth, but if you would speak to law enforcement, I'm talking, the police as well as county sheriff, judges, probation, and their those leaders' involvement and support for these efforts.
Well, I think what's critical with any collaborating council is if you don't have all of those key players at the table, the system really is going to suffer. And fortunately, here in Eau Claire County, we're very fortunate that all of the agencies that are involved in the criminal justice system realize the importance of what we're doing, and not only send their leaders to these meetings on a regular basis and participate in meaningful discussions, they also go back to their respective staffs and all the way down to their line workers, implement these philosophies to make sure that as a system we're doing the very best on a day-to-day basis.
Great. And I know I didn't mention public defenders, but public defenders, human services, and all the main players in the justice system.
Well, and there's also a lot of value with respect, everyone has a lot of meetings, we all know that, but it's very tangible, the effect of going to Criminal Justice Collaborating Council meetings and listening to people from the Department of Corrections as to how does a probation agent actually supervise a low-risk individual? How does a probation agent make a decision as to when someone commits a rules violation? And when the rest of the system can understand what everyone in their individual agency does, it makes the collective outcomes much stronger.
Great. And I know we're running short on time, but we have treatment courts where we target people with drug and alcohol and mental health issues, and we've got the Community Transition Center, a service that maybe 5-6 years now it's been around, something on that order, I think, to help those probation violation folks stay out of the jail and address some of their needs. And so,
and also safely monitor people who are going through the charging process. If people are at a determined risk level, rather than dealing with a jail overcrowding situation, we can appropriately figure out who can be monitored safely in the community while their case is pending. And it also, in fact, provides much more accountability than we used to have previously, where people were frankly not monitored in the manner that they are now while out on pretrial.
Okay. Maybe just, we just have about 30 seconds, but Tianna, you had mentioned CJCC, or not, CCAP, I mean, the Consolidated Court Automation Program. It's public records, and if you just, in 15
Briefly?
seconds, briefly talk about that.
Briefly, there is a difference. WCCA is the Wisconsin Court Access. You can access that anywhere in the world if you go to the wicourts.gov website. It will provide you very basic information about any case unless the case is sealed or confidential. CCAP, what everybody happens to call that, is actually the Consolidated Court Automation Program. The public can access that within our lobby or the law library. There's 3 access computers that will access only Eau Claire County records, and it gives you everything as if we're handing you over the file unless it's confidential or sealed. And the public can ask if they want something printed. They can print it automatic, go pay for it, and pick it up.
Great.
So there is a difference.
Okay, well, great. Well, once again, thank you all for being here. Susan Schaffer,
Thank you.
Clerk of Circuit Court, Gary King, Eau Claire County District Attorney, and Tianna Glenna, the Coordinator for the Criminal Justice Collaborative Council. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The mission of the Eau Claire County Board is to provide quality and responsive services and programs aimed at protecting the public safety, health, and economic security of our residents in a cost-effective manner through innovation and leadership. Your county government is produced through the facilities of Chippewa Valley Community Television in cooperation with the Eau Claire County Board of Supervisors. For more information about the Eau Claire County Board and how they aim to help the residents of Eau Claire County, go to www.co.eau-claire.wi.us.